Hello again. I'm back with another write-up slash video, and this one is covering diffraction and obstruction in Unity and Wwise. So the goal of my project right now, here it is to basically have a fireplace emit a sound and have this wall basically apply the proper volume attenuations and filtering needed to more realistically represent what it would sound like if a sound was happening behind an object in a game. Um, so for this demonstration, I'm just gonna quickly cover what I've got going on here. So here I've just set up a simple cube in the scene, and I've added an AK surface reflector component to it. I've enabled diffraction, and I've given the mesh. I've just manually assigned the mesh. I've seen other videos and tutorials that basically the mesh just gets automatically assigned. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong there, but I also haven't dug too deeply there. But anyway, so there's that. So the AK surface reflector takes a mesh, and then it uses that mesh data to basically apply the diffraction and obstruction and everything. So we need our AK surface reflector on the object that we want to block the sound from emitting. So in here, in the scene, I've got these beautiful little logs, and there's a torch or flame that plays behind it. So, and I've created a separate object here just to represent the actual emitter, the sound emitter. So here I'm using a simple AK ambient component, and it's playing the event on start. I have an AK spatial audio debug draw component. This will draw the diffraction paths in Unity, and I'm not sure if I covered this in the past video, so I can quickly run over it, but I have an AK room aware object on the object that I want to emit the sound. There's a couple of things that you have to set up to have spatial audio work. I have it written right here just so I can remember. But step one, if you have any AK environment components in your scene, you'll need to replace those with AK room components. Make sure that your rooms are sized accordingly and everything. Assign the appropriate aux bus. So for example, my courtyard, I have my AK room, I have the aux bus courtyard assigned there, and that's just coming from my aux bus list here. Got a courtyard, and then after we do that, I need to add an AK spatial audio listener to the listening object. On this, in this particular situation, it's the main camera. So adding the spatial audio listener will automatically add an AK audio listener if you don't have one there already, because it's dependent upon that object or component. And let's see. So I have to remove the environment aware from the AK game object component. I'm pretty sure that applies to pretty much anything with an AK game object. So environment aware is ticked off. I think environment AK object is environment aware is off on our camera. So there's that. And then put an AK surface reflector on the component, or on the wall, and then enable diffraction on that, and then assign the appropriate mesh to the field. And that's basically all the setup that we really need in Unity for now. So just to demonstrate what we're going for. In Wwise, it's a little bit different, not too crazy though. So here I have my campfire sound effect. It's just a looping sound effect. I have the volume cranked up really high just so that I can show this. But our routing panel here, I have it routed to my sound effects bus, and I have game-defined auxiliary sends enabled. The positioning, I've got this diffraction and transmission enabled. That's probably the most important part. But I also have just attenuation with some basically like some mindless attenuations I set up. I basically just changed the low pass and volume. But But as you can see, if you scroll down, you can see a couple of different things. There's the obstruction, and this says use project obstruction, use project occlusion, diffraction, transmission. So I'm using project that. And where is that? That would be in our project settings, found in the environmental curves. I briefly went over this in the write-up, but I wanted to just show these curves just so that if you're following along, you can imitate this. These are by no means final or perfect or anything, but it was just this is how I set them up. So this is the obstruction volume, the low-pass filter, the high-pass filter, occlusion, same thing, diffraction. I don't have high pass on diffraction for some reason. I haven't really messed with these too much. I'm sure the default settings would work just fine too. But the default settings also like completely turn turn the volume all the way down for some of those settings. So that's why I've adjusted them. And I think that's basically all you have to set up on the Wwise side of things. You got to make sure that your project settings, your environmental curves are all set up. When you make changes, you might as well just rebuild the sound banks. When in doubt, rebuild your sound banks. You got to make sure that your event is here. And I'm going to actually rename this because it's called PlayU. And there we go. So save that. I probably don't have to regenerate these just for the name change, but for good measure, I'll do that. I'll also refresh and generate again here. So let's see. On our emitter, we still have the play campfire event happening, and let's just run this. So it's super loud. The farther I get away from it, obviously the quieter it gets. But as you can see, we've got these diffraction paths being drawn in Unity. When I get closer, there might be one. There's one that's up here at the top too. So you can see that there's paths coming from the top, the sides, and the bottom. And the bottom one isn't really a realistic situation. Like if this, you're not going to hear something through the floor behind a wall. I mean, I guess theoretically you would, but in this particular situation, I want to get rid of this one. So what I did was just created a plane, gave it an AK surface reflector, assigned the mesh, enabled diffraction. I turn that on, that goes away. As you can see here, our fireplace is a little less audible. The closer I get, the louder it gets. But you can still hear there's some filtering happening there. And whenever I go over here to the edge, it gets more and more clear until it's in my line of sight. So there's that. I wanted to quickly go over the profiler view here. So if you just go in here and press F12, this will open up the game object 3D viewer. So here is the wall right here. And I think I can probably, there's the fire. I don't know. Maybe it's not in that list, but this is the wall. So when I connect Wwise to this project and then run the game, I'm just going to turn this down a little bit because I don't know if it's blocking out my voice. So turn that down just a bit, and so in Wwise, press F12, you'll see we've got our diffraction paths being drawn, and there's one from the top, sides, and there's also this one from the bottom still, and that's just because I enabled this in play mode. So then whenever I left play mode, it disabled again. But if I open up Wwise after disabling it, you'll see that it's gone. So yeah, that's in a nutshell how all of that works. You can tweak the values to your specific needs and everything. Yeah, I think that about covers it. I also made a ceiling one just to further demonstrate how that all works. So now, if you were in like an enclosed room, you know, if you wanted to use a surface reflector, you could do that this way. I can get a little more in depth with the surface reflector stuff in the next one, because it can get a little tricky when it comes to certain geometries and stuff. So yeah, but I'll leave it at that for this one. Hopefully that was helpful, and we'll see you later.